The subject is about informality in legal writing. And I think there's a general trend that says it's a good thing because it helps make your writing more direct and approachable. There's more engagement. But I wonder if practitioners should take a different view than what they might be getting out of judicial opinions. Some judicial opinions, Jeff and I have talked about, they're quoting, making pop culture references, and sometimes they have tweet-worthy lines in them. And I wonder if you would advise lawyers to go ahead and mimic that, or maybe stay away from some of those kinds of particularly
right. I mean,
trends.
you had an interesting and to me surprising controversy out there in the Ninth Circuit with Judge Lee, who had a couple of Hamilton references and a reference to The Bachelor, and I think a Matthew McConaughey line in an opinion. I think it was about class actions. And you would have thought the world had come to an end if you listen to America's law professors. So it's actually really complicated. What does informality mean? What do people want? Where do you draw the line? I don't know if it really is just about terminology, but I would say, even if I said to you, hey, so-and-so has informal writing, you and I might not be thinking of the same things, right? Any two lawyers, any two judges, you might not even know if that's a compliment or an insult to say someone has informal writing. So again, I put these things into two camps, and it goes back to what we talked about at the beginning. You have the kinds of things that are on Twitter, like a judge made a joke about The Bachelor, right? That's like a one-off attempt to be informal and engaging. And it works sometimes, it doesn't work other times. Frankly, there's a lot of hypocrisy and a lot of ideological bias in both directions. People tend to like those things when they like the judge or like the opinion, and think that they're absolutely beyond the pale when they don't. So that's one kind of informality. I think that's what you're talking about. And it's the judge's fault, right? You can't say that, but I can. I don't have any sympathy for any federal judge in America if lawyers start doing the same in briefs, right? You can't have it both ways. You can't have all the little jokes and puns and also all this backstabbing and the concurrences and dissents and then be appalled that lawyers do the same. The other type of informality actually takes talent, right? It takes actual skill. So I'll just use Justice Kagan as an example. So she has what one might call an informal prose style, but it's not really so much, although sometimes she has something about Dr. Seuss, something a little bit corny and populist. Mainly it's just the choice of words and sentence structure, just closer to conversational writing and speech. That's the kind of informality almost everybody appreciates.
Got it. And are there still some judges who prefer a more formal style? And by formal, I'm talking about the second type that you talked about, not so conversational. Maybe some judges would prefer something closer to the old traditional stodgy style of legal writing. Is the modern trend toward conversational style pretty much overwhelming?
Well, one thing I noticed during lockdowns and COVID, especially since judges, whether they wanted to or not, almost uniformly ended up reading all the briefs on iPads and devices and not in hard copy. So one thing I've noticed is now it's almost universal that people want shorter, more modern writing, right? A little bit closer to what you're calling this informal style, just because they're just overwhelmed and it's just much easier to process when you're reading things on devices. So there are things people do that are probably provocative, like having contractions or slang. I'm not sure for most lawyers, those are worth the trouble, since some judges really hate those kinds of things. So you still want to exercise some discretion, so to speak. But in general, yes, I'd say things have changed in the courts and in briefs themselves, closer to a more modern style. Doesn't mean people are producing it, but it does mean that's what readers want.